so many people today don't eat much meat, but I think the first step would to be start increasing the animal food meats in your diet, especially, beef and lamb. And the other thing is that, I have said this to people, go look at the nutritional profile of a piece of meat against a vegetable. I think it's a good idea for people to educate themselves about anti-nutrients like lectins, oxalates, phytates, gy- gytrogens. Yeah, there's a lot of anti-nutrients that people have never even heard of. So I think that's a place to start. Educate yourself about anti-nutrients. It might make you think differently about eating something that isn't giving you much nourishment. That
Hi there, Adam from Carnivore Today. I'm truly excited to have you all here as we dive into this conversation with Gloria. Expect a fresh perspective and some captivating discussion from her life experiences. If you enjoy this content, please subscribe and ring the bell to stay updated on our latest videos. Now let's get started. Hi there, Gloria. Thanks for joining us today. I appreciate you being here.
Hi, Adam. Thanks for having me.
Awesome, awesome. So, for the viewers that's watching, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, my name's Gloria Peck, and I'm originally from Boston, Massachusetts. I haven't lived there in probably about 15 years. Traveled around for my job, and then ultimately I ended up in Montana. Um, I was a tech nurse, and then I started working as a medical lab technician for SSM Health. And now I do a little bit of independent consulting for a few labs from home remotely. So
Okay,
that's what I
nice.
do.
Very
So
cool.
I can read labs.
Awesome. So
Yeah.
you married, have kids?
No, I'm sorry. I am divorced.
Okay.
And I had two children. I have one son. He lives in Texas, and my daughter unfortunately passed away
Oh, I'm
from
sorry to
breast
hear
cancer.
that.
And I had a longtime partner. His name was Tom, and he passed away from prostate cancer. So ultimately, I was alone. And I decided, it was basically the first time that I could just make a decision without including anybody else. So I just decided I'm going to move to Montana. So that's what I did.
It's beautiful
So
area for sure.
yeah, yeah, I love living here. I really do. I wasn't sure, um, but ultimately I ended up deciding I was going to stay here for good.
Right. So you
So
from Bean Town to Cattle Town.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't really fit in Massachusetts. I didn't when I lived there. I have totally different way of thinking. I think in comparison to a lot of people. I'll
Right.
leave it at that.
Right.
So
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, yeah. Anyway,
Cool. So so I understand you're on a low carb diet. Are you actually doing the carnivore diet?
I am carnivore.
Okay.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I did do for many years. I ate sort of, if you will, a keto diet. I just didn't know I was doing it.
Mhm.
Uh, yeah. So when I fell off that wagon when I went through the grief of losing my daughter and then my partner. And
Understandable.
you just really go through this period that, you just, how do I want to say it? It's not that I didn't care, but I think I just felt so down in the dumps that then you start eating things that you shouldn't be to make yourself feel better in the
Mm.
moment. And so I kind of caught up with that. And then I was going through the change of life. So between the grief and the change of life, I had started to put weight on, and I had always been a medium-sized person.
Mhm.
And all of a sudden, you're looking in the mirror with this extra weight, and you're thinking, that doesn't look like me. What happened? So, I knew that I had to get back on track. So, I don't, in all honesty, I don't know where I heard about the ketogenic diet. I just, by accident, I was on YouTube and I was just looking at different videos. And like a lot of people, I came across Dante Ferrigno. Is that his last name?
Yep.
Yeah. And I would even like call my aunt. I'm like, you gotta look at this guy. So I was like telling people, you gotta go look at this guy. And I'm like, I'm gonna watch him. So I started to watch his journey.
Hmm.
And so in the beginning, because I wanted to transition and not, end up really feeling lousy, I started off with I printed out Ken Berry's list of I had found Ken Berry too, shortly after I bumped into Dante,
Hmm.
and I printed out his list of foods. And then the ones that I wanted to eat were the ones I ate. Because I
Nice.
still was a little leery of vegetables. I didn't
Okay.
eat a lot of vegetables or fruit because I have a sensitivity to oxalate, which is how I got even interested in nutrition.
Interesting.
Yeah. When I was around 39 years old, I had suffered for a good most of my adult life with bladder pain, which the catch-all phrase for it is interstitial cystitis, which means inflammation within the bladder wall. And I had gone to every type of doctor you could dream of, and no one ever did anything that made a difference. If not only anything, it made it worse. And then, I started developing bleeding ulcers in my bladder. So that was when I said, okay, no one seems to be helping. Nothing seems to be helping. So I'm going to research this and I'm going to help myself. And so that's what I did. And then I started helping other women who had the same problem.
That's
Unfortunately,
awesome.
a lot of them are doing the vegan diet and it makes it
Hmm.
worse, not better. So I find that for me, I had to focus on nutrient things like nutrient dense. What was more important, the nutrients or the groups of food I was eating? And so when you start looking and you realize that animal food is bioavailable and you're not now going to deal with anti nutrients that are going to bind to, calcium, magnesium, zinc. Because I do understand that. When I went to school, I was taught about the interrelationship of nutrients,
Hmm.
minerals, nutrients, vitamins, amino acids, enzymes. So I understand how they all work together. So I didn't let anybody trick me into not ever eating, meat, you know. So
That's awesome.
I've always kind of pushed the protein.
Cool.
So fat I didn't push. So
Okay.
that was the change.
How long
So
ago did you start the carnivore diet?
I started carnivore in July of it was a year this July of 2023. So 22. The mid July of 22. I didn't even write the date down. I'm terrible like that.
Right. Same
Yeah,
here.
I'm not one of those people that like have to, write the exact date down and all that. I don't know. I'm just not good with like I smoked years ago and I know so many people that remember like the day they quit smoking. I don't remember what day it was. I remember roughly what year it was. Yeah. So anyway,
Yeah, for sure.
yeah.
Um, so you've been what is it? September, October. So you're roughly 15 months into it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Eating carnivore, yeah. Mhm.
Okay. And then so you first heard about it from Dante and then Dr. Barry, which is interesting because I heard about it from Joe Rogan and then started doing research and I found Dante and then I found
Mhm.
Dr. Barry. So and Carrie from Homestead How, he found it through Dante and then Dr. Barry. So that seems like the
Yeah.
funnel that everybody follows almost with the YouTube.
Yeah, I just stumbled upon him and I thought Because I've always been somebody who believed in eating animal food, and I thought, you know what? And I knew about, like a lot of us. I mean, depending on how old you are, you knew about Atkins, right?
Right.
Dr.
Yep.
Atkins,
Mhm.
and I knew about him. And so I just thought I'm going to watch a little bit of his journey. So as I started to watch him transform, because you know you do sort of second guess whether you should just be eating all meat.
Mhm.
Especially with there's just so many different ideas about dietary needs out there. So, and then, a couple of years later, you'll find out, oh, you shouldn't have been doing this, or you shouldn't have ate. So I just thought, I like to see the proof. I want to
Mhm.
see the person. I working in a lab, you think to yourself, people can tell you things, but if I know say somebody's taking a certain medication or I know they're eating certain, diet, we can see the changes that happen in people's tissue. And I mean,
Right.
it's amazing what you can see. So I wanted to see the transformation with him physically anyway.
Mhm.
And it's amazing.
Absolutely. Yeah, I followed that diet too. But like many others, the allowance of a certain number of carbs led me right back into the standard American diet, unfortunately.
A certain amount of what?
Carbs,
Oh,
because
carbs. Yeah.
you allow that diet. If I remember right, you were allowed to have a certain number of carbs on that diet, kind of like ketogenic.
Yes.
Yeah, and
Hmm.
that was my
Yeah.
downfall.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's the thing that I recognized. I think a lot of us recognize that about ourselves is that once you like I didn't eat bread and I didn't eat pasta and rice and all that for years. And it was like once I started doing that again, like I started making soups and adding that stuff to it, I started to do it more and more. And you just end up taking off with eating that stuff, and I didn't wanna do that. So, I've always known I mean, I don't think it's rocket science, I think people know you eat bread, you eat pasta, you eat rice, potatoes, we all know that stuff is starchy, sugary, and, if you're looking in the mirror and you're overweight and you know it's carbs. I
Oh
mean,
yeah,
I've known that since I was a kid,
right. Yeah,
you
no
know?
matter
I
what
mean,
form you're getting it in, whether it's starch or grains or
yeah.
sugar or whatever, yeah, it's
Yeah.
carbs.
Yeah, and one of the things that I should have said this in the beginning, I had gone to have my yearly physical in May before the July that I started the carnivore. So in May was when I started to go back to eating better because I was pre-diabetic and there's diabetes on both sides of my family. And I have an uncle he went into a nursing home when he was around 54, 55, with dementia because he had diabetes, and he had already had 3 heart attacks. So and then, both sides of my family, there's diabetes, and I have an aunt who has dementia, and she started getting dementia, in her early 70s. So I just did not wanna go down that road. And my
Yeah,
grandfather had Alzheimer's. So you start, you start realizing once you hear that pre-diabetic, this is the road I'm gonna go down. And
right, for sure.
I don't want I think
Yeah,
diabetes is horrible, horrible. Type 2 diabetes is a horrible thing to be diagnosed with.
mhm.
So, I mean, eventually you can lead to having an amputation. And the thought of that, no, I would not want to have that experience.
No, not at all. Yeah, and some people that they get to that point and they still don't change their diet is like it just seems like
Right.
insanity to me. Like,
Yeah. And
dude, you need to change something.
yeah, I also took into consideration too that, if you don't take care of yourself, you're going to be a burden on somebody else. I don't want to be a burden on my kids, my family. So, I just think it's really important it's your responsibility to take care of yourself.
Absolutely. That's
So,
that's a great
yeah,
point for sure.
yeah.
Um, So you had mentioned Atkins. Had you tried any other diets in the past? And what was your experience with those?
Um, in all honesty, I have never been on a diet. I liked my food too much. The only thing I did was I sort of followed, Weston A. Price. I
Okay.
would I started follow I'd read articles on that website, and I read some of the books that they recommended, like GAPS, um, what else? I read there's a I can't remember her first name was Adele. She wrote a book about fats. That was when I learned more about, how healthy fats were. Um, a few times, I got into making sourdough bread, but that was way too much work. I didn't really like it. So I'm glad I didn't like it too much because I stopped doing that really quick. So, but that's pretty much if I followed anybody, it was the Weston A. Price group.
Okay. And
Oh,
what was
yeah.
their main mantra with that?
Oh, it is fats, protein. It's um similar, to ketogenic, except they're still adding the grains in.
Ah, okay.
And yeah, they do it, they have recipes on how to make homemade sourdough bread. They're big on not that I think it's person to person when it comes to dairy, but they really push dairy, raw milk, things
Hmm.
like that. So yeah. And
Interesting.
everybody has their opinions, as you know, about dairy.
Yeah, for sure. I love it, but I hate it. So I definitely have to keep it out of my diet as much as possible, and I even
Yeah.
try to limit the amount of butter that I have.
Yeah, I don't eat a lot of butter either. I mean, I saw some people increasing their butter intake like up to a stick or two, and that's concentrated fat,
Hmm.
and you're not going to burn the fat on your body if that's your goal anyway.
Right. Right.
So I never did that. Yeah, I had fat to burn, so there was no way I was eating a stick of butter.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
I never
Yeah, I can't do that.
I'm not someone who like jumps in and does that stuff.
Right.
So I'm not really a challenge person. I see people doing challenges, and it's not really me. So to me, it was just important that I ate meat.
Yep, for sure. Yeah, I'm not a challenge person either, and I didn't even know that the beef, butter, bacon, and eggs was a challenge. I just thought that was like, hey, if you want to do this carnivore thing, it's beef, butter, bacon, and
Yeah,
eggs. I didn't even understand it, so I just
yeah.
started eating that. Right
Well, when I saw that, I thought, well, I'm already pretty much eating that. So
there, you go.
yeah.
Nice.
And yeah, I try not to go too crazy with bacon either, because you
Right.
can really end up eating way too much if it's easy to eat a lot of it. So
True.
anything that's salty, has a saltiness to it, you can overeat it, I believe, or fatty even.
Hmm.
So I try to take it easy with that too.
Awesome. So, speaking of challenges, have you experienced any challenges with the carnivore diet?
No, you know what? I have been very fortunate. Um, I never had to run to the bathroom. I
That's
never
good.
got the keto flu, but nothing. I never had any challenges. The only thing that I will say took out of any symptoms that I did have, the one that probably took the longest to go away was acid reflux.
Okay.
But it went away, and then all of a sudden I was like, "Oh, I haven't had acid reflux in a long time." So,
That's awesome.
yeah, but no, I wasn't sick at all. Didn't get a headache, nothing.
That's
No,
awesome.
I was fortunate, yeah.
Very cool.
So
So,
and I still have my gallbladder, so maybe that's why I think yeah. I also
right.
think that so I can say this, working in a lab, so I'm looking at people's electrolytes a lot.
Hmm.
There are probably about 20% of the people who adopt a carnivore or, like even a ketovore diet.
Hmm.
They don't need to be using electrolytes as much as somebody else. So a lot of times when you look at that 20%, their sodium is relatively high to their potassium already. And those are the people that will get diarrhea and not feel good and wonder what is going on with me.
Hmm.
A lot of times too, you'll see that those are the people that have stomach problems. And so when I have looked at some carnivores, I just looked at one recently, and she has been on a lion diet and hardly absorbing anything. Like all her storage minerals and vitamins were extremely low.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So not everybody's absorbing all of it, which is a shame. Yeah, I told her, I said, don't hate me when I told her. Um, but that's because, some people are still on medication or were on medications for a long time, or
Hmm.
people have had COVID and they have taken antibiotics and things like that. And
Hmm.
so their stomachs aren't right anymore, or they haven't been right in a long time. So it's really a good idea to take some HCl to help you break down that protein, so you're
Hmm.
getting the nutrients from it. HCl and if you're somebody who's thin and you're not doing this to lose weight, you probably need some enzymes with it. So HCl will speed up your metabolism. Enzymes will slow it down. If you know you have a hypothyroid and you're heavy, you don't want to take enzymes. It'll slow everything down even more and slow the healing process.
Interesting.
So we should be teaching people that. I wish that some of the doctors would maybe have do a video on hydrochloric acid and enzymes, whether to use one, the other, or both, because
Interesting.
I think it would help a lot of people. Because
Do you
sometimes
th-
people get so sick doing this, they quit. They don't want to do
right.
it anymore.
Hmm.
You know,
So do you think
so
that that is like a normal person that wouldn't have any issues? They obviously wouldn't need that, right?
no, no.
Okay.
Yeah, if you're not, yeah. I mean, some people are asymptomatic. They don't even know. They don't feel that they feel fine. So you don't always know, but yeah. But
That's
I do
interesting.
see, yeah, I do see that sometimes with patients. So yeah.
I've always wondered that about the electrolytes too, because they say have the keto chow electrolytes or Elementa or
Mhm.
whatever. And I was doing that for a while, but I was still getting leg cramps and things. And I'm like, man, there's no way that I would have leg cramps. Like I would have to eat
Well,
like
the amount
buckets
of
and buckets of this
magnesium.
stuff.
Yeah. So think of it this way. Something that I can share that might even help people is, so when we look at, you have five electrolytes, not three.
Hmm.
And what we have to understand is that minerals they're dual in nature. They can be both antagonistic and synergistic. So if you're getting all that sodium and you already have low stores of magnesium, you're going to push, you're going to eliminate magnesium. You're going to antagonize it. And then with magnesium, depending on whether you're a female or a male, that also depends on how much you need to take in your age. But on average, a person shouldn't really be taking more than, there's only what, 60? Is it, well, how many, or 200? I don't know. How many milligrams are an element of magnesium? Do you remember? I
Yeah, I
know it's
think
a
it's
thousand of
60.
sodium.
I think it's 60.
Yeah, I think it's 60. That's
Hmm.
nothing.
Right.
Um, you can take up to 800. Of course, magnesium works like a laxative, so you have to be careful with that too.
For
So if
sure.
you're
Yeah.
running through the bathroom, then, you shouldn't be taking that either because
I
you're
know. Very
losing
insignificant.
minerals. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. So we have to remember that minerals are dual in nature. They can be antagonistic and synergistic. So we can use them therapeutically to act as a synergist on certain minerals.
Hmm.
But the other thing is, let's see if I can remember it right. So calcium is your first electrolyte, and that is what we need the most of. The second one is sodium. The third one is phosphorus. The fifth one's potassium. And the last one is magnesium. So, and I see people taking lots of magnesium and they don't realize that they're antagonizing their storages of calcium as well. So we
Yeah.
got to be careful with that.
Hmm.
And if your magnesium stores become relative to other electrolytes, you can feel horrible. You can be fatigued. So I'm not big on, to me, fix your stomach, eat meat. You don't really need to take supplements.
Right.
Maybe a little iodine, and, that's about it.
I found out that through experimentation also. I was doing keto chow and still getting cramps. And then I started making my own electrolytes. I found out that one of the potassiums would cause all kinds of issues for me. So I switched the type of potassium
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
I still was getting cramps at night. And then ultimately, what I found out what it wasn't the electrolytes at all. It was just I wasn't drinking enough water.
Right.
So once
Yeah,
I
and
started to
who
almost double
says that
my
all the
water,
time?
eh,
Yeah, and who's
probably
always saying that?
probably
Anthony
chasing.
Shafee.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
yep,
I don't take electrolytes anymore. I just salt to taste and drink
right.
way more water than I think that I need, and the
Mhm.
cramps are gone for sure.
Right, yeah. Yeah, I just keep some in the house just, to have them on hand. Like, I even gave my mother some keto chow liquid
Mhm.
electrolytes because she's passed out before. So I
Oh
just
wow.
keep it in the house for, emergency reasons. But yeah, if you're not, and the other thing too is, so I think, I'm not going to probably tell you anything you don't already know. So when people go on a carnivore diet, because now you have given up other things or even a ketogenic diet, people are drinking far more caffeine, coffee, and coffee is a diuretic. So
Yes.
now you're not eating carbs. So what happens when you don't eat carbs? You lose fluid. That
Hmm.
fluid has what? Circulating electrolytes in it. So you're losing that, and now you're drinking a diuretic all day long.
Yes.
And then you're just like, "Why do I have cramps?" So
Yes.
then we're throwing electrolytes on it, and that doesn't always work.
Yes.
So,
That's the
yeah, if
problem that
you
I was having for sure. And
yeah.
I followed Dr. Chapey's not really protocol, but his suggestion of
Mhm.
eliminating caffeine and how to do it because it was hard for me to do that.
Right.
So basically, all I did was I just took caffeine pills, replaced the diet Pepsi that I was drinking and the coffees,
Yeah.
and replaced it with one caffeine pill. So at least I wasn't ingesting the rest of the stuff and break the habit, the fizzy stuff and having the warm
Mhm.
coffee, and that helped tremendously, and just gradually took less and less of those caffeine pills over a 2-week period, and then it's completely gone now, so, yeah, and
Yeah.
once I
Yeah.
stopped that, the cramps definitely went away, they haven't come back, so
Right.
you're
Exactly.
100% right.
Yeah. So you're just, you're causing even if it's just mild dehydration, you're causing yourself to, become more dehydrated. Might start off as mild, but yeah.
Mhm,
So,
for sure.
yeah, every time, I hear him say, well, you don't really need electrolytes. You just drink, enough water. I'm like, but we, as human beings, we like to complicate things. You right? We want to
Right.
complicate it. We keep waiting for a different answer that we want to hear because, the one we're hearing to give up coffee isn't the one that we want to hear, of course.
Mhm.
And I understand it. I mean, I don't have any qualms with anyone drinking coffee. I mean, you do give up a lot of things. And I think that's sort of the mindset for a long time. Like, oh, I gave everything else up. I got to hold on to one of my vices. I did
For
it for a
sure.
long time with lots of things.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So, in
So,
light of, what we just talked about, basically I follow that principle that Dr. Chapey says, that, just meat, salt, and water. You don't really need the electrolytes and things like that. So I
Mhm.
think that I definitely think that's true for somebody that's metabolically healthy. But based on what you were saying in the lab, it seems like some people may need to supplement because of
Yeah.
cellular damage or poor metabolic health or something like that. Is that the
Yeah.
case?
Mhm. It could be for so many different reasons, even stress. Somebody has a lot of stress in their life. Stress can actually make you eliminate electrolytes, nutrients through your urine and feces.
Hmm.
Um, so there can be a number of reasons. A lot of times, because I'm semi-retired now. What I She doesn't know it, but I send people to Judy Chow because Judy Chow provides a lot of testing, including hair analysis, which is gives you a window into what's going on with your electrolytes, your gut. I know some doctors, including Dr. Berry, thinks it's poo poo, but it isn't. I mean, hair is tissue, and it is a blueprint of what is going on with your biochemistry.
Hmm.
I can't tell you how many people that, well, even myself, somebody can. I've done it both ways. I've had somebody tell me everything that's going on with them, and then done a hair analysis on them, and it shows up, and they're just amazed. They're like, "Wow, I can't believe that picked all that up." And then I've said to people, "Don't tell me." And then I've told them what I see in their hair sample, and they're like, dead on. I even had a man one time that had some different nutrients. It was a pattern of nutrients that were deficient. And I asked him, he was an older man, and I said, I said, do you mind if I ask you a personal question? And he said, no, go ahead. And I said, was your mother kind of a cold person? I said, just kind of quiet and cold and not really very maternal. He said, oh my gosh, I can't believe. He said, you saw that? I said, yeah, I saw what your mother actually didn't probably pass on to you. Um, and he says, yeah, he says, the very first memory I have of my mother, I was a kid and I remember my dad putting me in the back seat of the car when they drove to a mental health hospital to go pick her up to come home. She had been gone for a long time, he said, and he was only about 5 or 6 years old. But you'd be amazed
Hmm.
what you can figure out.
Wow. That's
Tissue
pretty
really
incredible.
does tell us a story. So I will send, when people come to me because I don't really do it anymore, I will send them to Judy Cho. If you really want to know uh, how out of balance your electrolytes are, which ones you need, which ones you don't need, which vitamins you should maybe take temporarily, she's your girl. And she doesn't know me. I'm not like advocating for her because I don't even know her. I've never talked to her. I've never met her in my life,
Hmm.
but that's who I would go to.
Definitely.
So
That's
I,
awesome.
yeah. So, but eventually it will straighten itself out, even if you don't do any of that, if you just drink enough water and you eat meat. So eventually all those stores will be filled. You'll balance it out. It might take you a little longer, but
That's incredible,
it's
isn't
about
it?
work.
It just
Yeah, it is.
seems so simple, and
Yeah.
you can't sell that. That's the other
No, and I
incredible
think a
thing
lot of
with it.
times, yeah, and a lot of times when you change your lifestyle, you want it yesterday. You want to
Mhm,
feel better yesterday. So, we've all done it. We'll buy this supplement. We'll buy this drink, collagen. I mean, even collagen. And I've heard it mentioned a little bit. If your copper stores are low, well, you're spending your money on collagen pretty much for nothing. Your body's not going to do much with it. You need that trace mineral
mhm.
also, and a few others. But yeah. So anyway,
Interesting.
yeah.
So,
So
in terms of, benefits on the carnivore diet, what have you seen in the past, 15 months?
I had high blood pressure. So basically, I had things that a lot of people get. I had high blood pressure, my triglycerides were high, um, my HDL was on the side, my good cholesterol was on the lower side. I had acid reflux. I was overweight for my height. Um, and I was having arthritis pain. I was diagnosed with arthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, and psoriatic arthritis, and I had a little bit of psoriasis going on.
Wow.
So, every single thing. So I no longer take high blood pressure medication. Um, I was on amlodipine, so that's gone. I never took the statins. I would never take a statin. Um, but my triglycerides were 177 and they're now 76. My
Wow.
HDL cholesterol was 54 and it's now 78.
Nice.
Um, and my LDL, so when I had my blood work done, everything looked great except the LDL. The LDL was, I can't remember the exact number. I know it was a little elevated. So of course right away the doctor was talking statin and
Of course.
I yeah, I don't tell them what I do. I just don't even want to have the conversation, which might not some people might not agree with that, but I'm just not up to the task right now.
Right. Right.
Yeah, I just told them, "Well, let me see if I can get that down with my diet, and when I come back for my next physical, we can talk about it then." I just left it at that.
There you go. Take
Yeah,
control.
so the biggest thing for me though was come November, I started this in Carnivore in July of 22,
Mhm.
and come November, I don't really know how to explain this, but I lost my daughter was 25 years old when she was diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer,
Mm.
and she was pregnant. So I took care of her, and I ended up with some post-traumatic stress because I literally watched her starve to death. I watched her lose her baby and starve to death.
Wow.
And there's just so many different things you go through when it's your kid
Mhm.
and you're the caregiver. And then you're dealing with other people and personalities, and people want to, oh, take her to this hospital, do this with her, she wasn't eligible for anything except palliative care. Nothing. She never had a
Wow.
mastectomy, nothing. It was too far gone. So it takes a long, long time to process all that and, go through all those stages of grief. And I never was really seemed to get to the point that I accepted it. And then my significant other was diagnosed with stage 4 prostate cancer. And so I lost 2 people. So I now, you haven't finished processing the first one and now you've got another one to process. So, but the craziest thing, it really was, I started the carnivore diet in July. Come November, it was like I felt myself turn the corner. It was like I could live again, really. I
That
was
is
no longer
awesome.
paralyzed by it. And I really can't it's hard to explain unless you've gone through it, but I felt that change in myself, and I felt like um, yeah, and that was a lot of the reason too why I had, put weight on really for the first time in my life. I kind of isolated because I don't like being heavy, and
Mm.
I didn't want people to see me like that, and my hair was down to my waist. I never even went out of the house hardly at all. I really isolated a lot during that period. And but I finally turned that corner. And uh if all I can say is that if you have grief, depression, I've seen lots of people with depression say that, they don't have a depression anymore. And
Mhm.
that really is what grief is. I mean, you're just depressed because I guess,
True.
but for me, the acceptance too is also my life has changed, and I didn't want it to change. I didn't want it to be different, you know. So I had to figure out how to live now with the people that were, gone that were really the closest to me. So
Well, if
yeah,
anybody had an excuse to eat improperly, I think you
yeah,
definitely had an excuse for sure. So,
yeah. And truthfully, I didn't eat a lot of junk. I just was eating too much, and I also was still eating some vegetables and things like that. But I was just eating too often and too much.
mhm.
So even in that right, I'd go to the doctors and say, "Well, I put another, 5 pounds on. I don't eat bad. I don't eat junk." But yeah, so
Wow.
that'll just what goes to show you that any kind of carbs, even the ones that you think are healthy, um, you can still gain weight.
Right.
So
Wow.
yeah, yeah,
That's
you're eating oatmeal for breakfast with blueberries on it. You think that's good for you, because that's been taught. And I'm like, "What the heck?"
right. I don't know how anybody could think that oatmeal is healthy. It literally looks disgusting. So,
I know. I know. I never ate it as a kid growing up. It wasn't until I was older, I kinda forced myself, to eat it because, you're j and of course, I bought the one that you had to cook it yourself. I didn't buy the little packets. So you think
right.
you're doing better, but I found out differently.
Yeah. You
So,
get the, what is it, steel cut oats?
yeah.
That's supposed to
Oh, I
be
think I
the
tried
best
every
kind you can
every
get.
type that was yeah. I tried every type that was supposed to be good for you.
Right.
So, yeah. I don't miss feeling hungry every couple of hours, I can tell you that.
For sure.
That's, like, one of the best things about going carnivore,
Hmm.
is you eat and it stays with you. It's I'm not looking to eat something, an hour or 2 later. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
I'm right there with you. So speaking of
Yeah.
food, what does a day look like for you as far as meals go?
I usually eat twice a day, and I don't have any issues with, um, if somebody ate more than that, but that's all I'm hungry.
Hmm.
Every now and then, I don't do it all the time, but I do some, protein, sparing modified fast. And the reason why I did that it's not because I have anything against, water fasting, but for me, my age, I'm almost 60, and I had already lost some muscle and bone, and so I didn't wanna get into doing a lot of fasting.
You definitely
Um,
don't look 60.
yeah,
You got that
uh,
carnivore glow.
yeah, no punt, right? My name's
Right.
Gloria, that's what they call me, Glow. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so I do the, I watch some of Doctor Carl, Goldkamp,
Hmm.
about protein, modifying fast, and, so I kinda took him and his wife's advice on that, uh, but I don't they do it every week, a couple of days out of the week.
Hmm.
I just do it every few weeks. I'll eat, higher protein and pretty lower fat. It does the same thing for you.
Right.
So, I think it's just a preference of what you like. Some people, like not eating for a couple of days that, they like the way they feel. I don't think there's anything wrong I think the younger you are, you can get away with doing more of that. But
Right.
so,
Yeah.
but that's why I do it because I didn't want to lose more muscle. And so, yeah.
Cool.
Mhm.
So is it mainly just like beef and eggs or?
Beef is my number one. Definitely. I think we all find that out eventually. I think a lot of people do.
Yep.
Um, I I eat eggs. Let's see, what else do I hear? Beef, seafood. I eat a lot of surf and turf meals, so I'll just add a little bit of shrimp or scallops or something to my steak.
Mhm.
Um, I try to eat some seafood, all kinds. I grew up on the East Coast and I grew up right on the water. So I enjoy seafood. I know some people don't care for it. But being a woman, I think women need to add some seafood. And
Mhm.
Dr. Shafe, you might disagree with me, but it's higher in copper, and copper correlates with estrogen. And so I think it's a good idea to eat some of it. Beef is one of the only foods that we have that's rich in zinc. So you want a nice balance between zinc and copper because those correlate with your hormones, especially for men. I go crazy when I see men that aren't eating any beef. Like, that's the only place you're getting zinc, and zinc correlates with your testosterone. You know,
Interesting.
so if you ate beef, you wouldn't have to be injecting testosterone shots, which aren't good for your heart.
Right.
So
It's not good to
I
inject
try not
anything.
to. Yeah, no kidding, right? Um, yeah, I mean, we see young boys with extremely low testosterone levels, because
Yeah.
they're not eating any beef. And that's the only place today you're gonna get a good amount of zinc.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
it's
anyway,
definitely
yeah.
concerning, especially with the youth. We just did a photo shoot at a, K through 12, private school, and so
Mhm.
to put this in perspective, to send your child to school K through 12, will cost a parent $500,000. So very expensive private school, and
Right.
the lunches that they have are insane. It is literally like a five-star, hotel buffet, like, eat all you want. They have a pasta bar and a vegan bar and a sandwich bar and ice cream and soft serve and all this, yeah, all kinds of stuff, but the one thing
Yeah.
that's missing
Yeah, I
is
knew that you were gonna say that.
red meat.
Yeah.
There's no
And you're
fat.
paying all this money for this lunch that isn't even nourishing your body because most of
Exactly.
what they're eating are anti-nutrients.
Yes.
So I've always known about anti-nutrients for years now. Yeah, and one of the things that always just really upset me was when they started putting soy in baby formula. Some baby formulas are soy based and some have soy added to it. And we're wondering why. So when my daughter was a baby, I was only 21 years old when I had her. I didn't know a thing about nutrition. As a matter of fact, so she was colicky, and the doctor told me to put her on Prosobi, which was a soy based formula.
Mhm.
And soy is like a magnet and it clings to zinc and calcium, magnesium, and it can cause your bones to be demineralized. And so at 24, when they did the 3D MRI on my daughter when she had cancer, she looked like she was already dead. Her bones looked worse than somebody who had died. They
Wow.
had so many holes in them. And they had told me that if she had survived, she would have never my daughter's spinal column collapsed. I found her on the floor like that. So, the doctor has said to me, even if she was to survive the cancer, she wouldn't even be able to lift her head up ever again.
Oh my goodness.
And so soy, I do not like soy. I, do not like I'm not somebody who agrees with, taking birth control pills, HRT, any of it.
Mhm.
I've seen too many people even on they shouldn't call bioidentical hormones bioidentical. They're similar. They are not bioidentical, they're similar. And we're still seeing women show up with reproductive cancer. So that would be an argument that I might have with some of these doctors, even carnivore doctors. I'm sorry, but I've seen it. I've seen
Mhm.
women show up who have taken so-called bioidentical hormones and still end up with a reproductive cancer. So my daughter did have a BRCA gene, but you gotta turn that on. So I think between the soy, standard American diet, and then she went on birth control pills as a teenager to regulate her menstrual cycles. So when I met with one female oncologist who was honest with me, she said, we had a discussion at hospice. She said, "Yeah, your daughter's had cancer for about 10 years, and we don't know if it started in the ovaries or if it was true breast cancer. We think it
Wow.
started in the ovaries." Yeah, because it was just amazing. She was full of cancer, it was everywhere, every organ, um,
Mm.
and just about every bone, even in her collarbone, it was everywhere.
Wow.
So, yeah. So I'm kind of protective of women because of this, and I've done a lot of reading about hormones,
Mhm.
and hormone replacement.
Mhm.
So I'm not a big advocate of that at all. I'm not an advocate of it. I Yeah, I just wish that people would realize. I mean, I was in a restaurant one time and these people were feeding their two little daughters tofu,
My goodness.
and yeah, I looked at my partner, Tom, and I was like, "Hurry up and eat because I can't watch this."
Right.
Yeah.
You might as well
Yeah,
eat
people are feed
a
yeah,
car tire.
yeah.
It's so
So just
gross.
like, I don't agree with, giving, tweens, um, you know, hormone replacement shots. So, I mean,
For sure.
I was talking to somebody the other day and I said to them, "Do you remember the commercial that, if you've had testosterone injections and your loved one had a heart attack, call so and so lawyer."
Right.
Well, what are we
Mhm.
doing to these kids?
Absolutely.
So that's a whole nother subject, but just eat beef.
Yes.
Just eat beef and your testosterone will be great. So yeah.
It's just it blows my mind. Every conversation that I have with carnivores and just these new things that I learn
Hmm.
and it all stems back to exactly what you just said. Just eat beef. And it just
Yeah.
seems so incredible that it's that simple.
It is
It's
that simple. Yeah. I think that's why sometimes we do tend to try to complicate it a little bit because it seems too simple,
Mhm.
but yeah. But to answer your question, go back to what I eat. So I usually go to Legacy Ranch and I buy meat from them. They deliver it right to my door.
Mhm.
And their prices are good. Consider when I compare them with other places, not in Montana. And then I go to a warehouse um, called the Shamrock Warehouse,
Mhm.
and I buy big slabs of meat from them, and I cut it up and wrap it myself because it's cheaper. So
Nice.
I went in there. I went out walking. I don't live that far from there, and I walk almost every day.
Mhm.
So I went in there, and they had some really good sales. I walked home with almost 60 pounds of meat. I managed to carry it home and up to the top floor of my house.
Nice.
Yeah, and sliced it all up, and so I bought about 300. Not even, didn't even co no, I spent about $260 and I got almost 60 pounds of meat,
Wow.
and that's a deal.
That's a deal.
Yeah, I bought
Nice.
ribeye, New York strip, pork loin, and ground beef.
So for
So,
me, that would be almost 2 months of, 1 half of the day of meals.
yeah,
And people
yeah,
say they can't afford eating this way.
yeah. Oh, well, then I went and bought all my eggs and, that I eat. So, yeah, that will last me more than a month. And so I spent about 300 bucks, $325 maybe,
Mhm.
and I'm set now for a while. And then
Nice.
I have water delivered to me.
Okay.
So, 'cause I live on the top floor and I don't wanna lug it up here.
Right.
So I get spring
I don't
spring
blame you.
water delivered. Yeah. So, yeah. Yeah, it's much cheaper to eat this way. I think it is. I don't stop and get coffees anymore. I don't
Mhm.
stop at fast food places. I hardly ever go out to eat. Even if I go and meet friends, I'll just sit there and drink water.
Mhm.
Um, yeah. I even went to friends for Thanksgiving and didn't eat. I ate before I
Nice.
went there, and I let them know ahead of time. I don't care if anybody says something to me or doesn't like what I'm doing. I
Right.
really don't. So I really haven't had any people say too much to me. Most of the time when people see me, they say, "Oh, you look good, you lost some weight, what are you doing?" So, and they're
Yep.
just like, "Really?" But they'll let me know too, like, as soon as I say that, they'll let me know, "I don't think I could do that. I need variety." That's usually
Yeah,
what I
right,
hear.
yeah, right. I get the
Yeah.
same thing. It's funny. Yeah, I
Yeah.
had well, my son's, girlfriend, she said, I don't think I could do the carnivore diet because, um, I just love cheese too much." I said, "Well, you're in luck because you can eat
Yeah.
plenty of cheese." And,
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
she
you can eat
says,
cheese if you can tolerate it.
yeah, yeah, and then she goes, well, I really like wine." I'm thinking, "Okay, so you're really just
Yeah.
kinda making an excuse of why you don't wanna do it." So,
Yeah.
yeah.
She would have almost been better saying she liked vodka.
Right. Exactly. Yep, for
Yeah.
sure. Yep.
Yeah, and I don't see anything wrong once in a blue moon if somebody, wants to have a drink. I mean, you can't you have to live too. I
Right.
just don't drink. I don't miss drinking. I don't have the desire for it, but once in a blue moon, if you go to a wedding or something, or you want to have a drink. But anyway,
Right.
yeah, I probably have a drink twice a year.
Yeah, I'm
Because
the
I've
same
gone to
way.
something.
And I
Yeah,
usually regret it after I do.
yeah.
There's some
Well,
kind of pain that follows.
yeah, the last time I had a drink, I really felt it. I really like, you would have thought I had 3. So then after that, I was like, "I don't think I'm gonna do that again because I don't really miss drinking." So,
Right.
yeah, but no.
Yeah, that's
And I
awesome.
have no desire to eat out at all because I don't want the seed oils. I don't, and yeah, I just don't. And I ate out a couple of times when I first started carnivore, and I know this sounds strange. I feel like I didn't eat.
Mhm.
I don't know why, but the food was not dense enough to make me feel like I even ate.
Mhm.
So I just don't bother.
Yep, I'm with you.
Yeah.
I don't either. It's, it's like, why would I eat out? If I could pay, 12 to $15 for a ribeye and it tastes absolutely incredible, why do I wanna go to a restaurant and pay 30,
And
40
pay
bucks for a
35.
ribeye? Yeah,
Yeah.
and I can't eat the
Mhm.
sides, and they usually it's not the right kind of butter either, and sometimes they'll cook it in seed oils, and I gotta tell them 'em, "Don't do that," and yeah, and, it just
Yeah.
doesn't taste as
Well, in the
good
good
either,
weather, you
so.
can barbecue and, do things like that, but
Mhm.
so I've had a few people over, and then I've just let them eat what they want, and I just ate what I wanted, so that works out if you wanna have people over,
Mhm.
but, you know
For sure.
yeah. But I can tolerate I know not everybody is comfortable with it, and I understand it. I can tolerate going out and not eating while everybody else is eating. It doesn't bother me.
Right. Yeah, I can
So,
tolerate it too. It doesn't mean that I don't want to have some rolls or whatever,
oh, yeah,
that's there,
yeah,
the chips and salsa, but, yeah, I can definitely it's not an issue
yeah,
or a problem. But, yeah, the
yeah.
biggest problem
Do
I
you know
have
I
is
don't even
people.
like this. Yeah,
What's
I
that?
don't even like if I go into, say, Walmart,
Mhm.
when I walk past the aisle that has all the bread, I can smell it, and I think it
Yeah.
smells horrible.
Really? Wow.
Yes, I have no desire for that. I'm like, "Oh, how did I eat that?" But to me, it's like smelling somebody that has cigarette on. Oh, how did I use oh, you
Right.
know? I hate the
Yeah.
smell of it.
It's
But,
like
of
a
course, it's
big.
not homemade, but
Right.
that might
It's
be
like,
different.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So so
Mhm.
if somebody is watching this and they're thinking about doing a carnivore diet, or they just don't understand enough about it, and they're looking for answers, kind of what would be your advice to that person?
Well, I think the first thing I would say is that so many people today don't eat much meat, but I think the first step would to be start increasing the, animal food, meats in your diet, especially, beef and lamb. Um, And the other thing is that, I have said this to people, go look at the nutritional profile of a piece of meat against a vegetable. I think it's a good idea for people to educate themselves about anti-nutrients like lectins, oxalates, phytates, nitrogens. There's a lot of anti-nutrients that people have never even heard of.
Mm.
Um, so I think that's a place to start. Educate yourself about anti-nutrients. It might make you think differently about eating something that isn't giving you much nourishment, that's expensive. Um, the other thing that, and there are some, one doctor that I really like a lot of his articles is Dr. Robert Kiltz.
Mhm.
His website has some great articles, nutritional
Mhm.
articles. He talks a lot about food and he puts out the nutritional profile. So that's a great resource. He's a great resource as far as, his articles go.
Mhm.
Uh, I don't recommend everybody eat his ice cream. Sorry, Dr. Kiltz. I only think you
I
eat
eat the
that
ice
once in a
cream.
while. Um, well, I think some people can tolerate it, also can, eat it once in a while, but there are some people who will if you haven't been, ketogenic or, carnivore long enough, I
Mhm.
I think it would make you fall off this lifestyle. I think that you would end up
That's
too
true.
tempting. Yeah, so I think you gotta figure out who you are and can you handle just having something like that once in a while. You might have to wait until you're used to eating this way for a year or so, maybe even longer. Um, but I think he has some great articles and he's really thorough on, the way he writes his articles. And of course, everybody loves Dr. Kenberry.
Mhm.
And I think his wife's videos are great, especially for women who are in
Mhm.
childbearing age. Um, I just love the way they're feeding the kids. We ate like that when I was little. My mother would give you a bone with meat on it, when we were
Nice.
babies. I asked her and she said, yeah. So people are so afraid to give their kids meat. I don't comprehend that. They have a baby and all they feed it is fruit and vegetables out of a jar.
Mhm.
And they're afraid to give them the meat even. Even the meat in the jar, which isn't great, but they don't even give them that hotly. So,
Mhm.
yeah, we've really done such an injustice with, all the propaganda against meat.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think the most important thing is mindset and people getting used to eating meat again. So you start there. And then while you're eating more meat, then start educating yourself about anti-nutrients. So, I had a cousin who called me because she was getting kidney stones every couple of months. She was in the emergency room and she said to me, well, what do I do? And I said, I really don't want to talk about diet with you. And she said, why? I said, because I said, you're not going to like what I have to say because you follow vegan/vegetarian diet. And you're going
Mm.
to get mad. And she said, no, 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 I want to hear it. And so I said, and that's what I told her. I said, you need to educate yourself about oxalate and
Mhm.
anti-nutrients. I said, because no matter what I say, I said, we're going to hang up and you're going to go right back to eating the way that you were eating. I said, so you need to go start reading about that. So,
Mhm.
yeah, I think, you can lead the horse to water, but you can't make it drink. But
Absolutely.
if you yourself educate yourself and you sit there and you read this stuff and you start connecting the dots, that's usually what people will make a change.
Mhm.
Something has to resonate with you to make the change because none of us like to be told what to do.
Yep. And unfortunately for many, it's, they have to be in such a bad state with their health in order for them to make a change,
Right.
which is
Right.
unfortunate.
I'll tell you a funny little story. So I'm going to not say who because, I'm going to protect the innocent, the
Right.
names of the innocent. So I got a phone call one day from this woman I know. She took her son to see his primary care physician. He was 19 at the time. And he had his first serious girlfriend. And he found he was, oh, so her son was probably more leaning towards a vegan. And I would say a fruitarian type vegan.
Mhm.
Anyway, he was 19, had his first serious girlfriend, and told his mother, I need to go to a doctor. Anyway, after he got out of the doctor's appointment, he told her why he had the appointment because he had ED. He had erectile dysfunction at
Oh,
19.
wow.
And so, anyway, he knew that I was against him just eating fruit and vegetables and
Mhm.
juicing too. I try to explain to him one time about, well, this is what happened when you remove the fiber.
Right.
Not that I think you need fiber, but when you do remove um, the fiber slows the absorption of all the sugar in those
Mhm.
vegetables and fruit. And so he was, getting blasted of it. Anyway, he was in the car and he now he finally fessed up with her why he was at the doctor. And it was important to him because now he was in love.
Mhm.
Well, he said to his mother, call Gloria in the car.
Nice.
So they called me and I told them, I said, you need to eat steak. You need to eat ground beef. You need beef for the zinc. And I explained to him how that correlates with your testosterone.
Mhm.
And so that it took that for him to give up being a vegan. So
Yeah, that
sometimes
would
it
be a
does
wake-up
take
call
something
for a
that
teenager.
so sometimes, that something like that. It was like with me even. I mean, I had such horrific bladder pain. I mean,
Mhm.
that now I was willing, when I went to the doctor, I remember saying to him, I said, I'll stand on my head and roll around and spit peanuts if it will take this pain away. I mean, I think
Right.
some people get in a spot where you'll do just about anything to feel better. And
Mhm.
I think that's what we see a lot. I think in this community, most of the people that are in this community have had some type of, chronic pain,
Mhm.
uh, some kind of wake up call that I've got
For
to
sure.
change. I got to do something.
For sure.
So,
Yeah. With me,
yeah.
it
And I
was,
don't think there's anything wrong with, I know everyone says, find your why. Okay.
mhm.
But I don't think there's anything wrong with people doing this because they're obese and they want to lose weight
Absolutely.
because that leads to a lot of disease. And you just don't feel good. You
Mhm.
can't tie your own shoes anymore. And that's not a good feeling.
Absolutely.
So I have no qualms with people being concerned about losing weight.
Mhm. For
So
sure. Yeah.
that's just, if somebody calls me and they just want to lose weight because, a lot of times people's knees are, going too, and they'll do something finally about their weight,
Mhm.
you know, their
Yeah.
hips, their knees.
For sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't start because of, some kinda excruciating pain or anything like that, although I did
Mhm.
have it with certain conditions, plantar fasciitis and, arthritis,
Oh, yeah, I
back
had
pain.
that.
I had all that, but I didn't I didn't link, that if I changed my diet, it would fix those things. So I started
Mhm.
because of an autoimmune condition, vitiligo, which is just
Yeah, I've
skin doesn't
watched
produce
several of your
melanin.
videos. Yeah, I
Yeah,
remember watching that, yeah.
yeah, so
Yeah.
I came there because of that,
That's
and then
when
it
you
fixed
have
all
the
this other stuff.
discoloration of
Yes.
the skin.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it fixed all that other stuff, and I thought, "Holy cow, this is incredible," like, the vitiligo was just
Mhm.
it's a superficial thing, that I didn't want it to continue to keep going. Obviously, there's something wrong, if it's doing that.
Right.
So, but it wasn't painful for me, yeah, and it started fixing all these other things, and the weight started dropping off, and I'm like, "This is insane." And how you feel, and
Yeah.
the brain fog is gone, and the mental clarity, and my TBI was being healed, and Oh my goodness, that's why I
Right.
can't shut up now, and I have to talk to everybody about it and talk to other
Right.
carnivores and get their perspective and
Yeah.
share their stories just like yours. So,
Well, yeah. One of my favorite things is the fact that I'm not swollen anymore. Like I can't I every pair of shoes I own are too big for me. Like my hands are nice and slender now, my feet are slender. I had that plantar fasciitis. Yeah. My son
that's
had that too.
painful
Yeah.
stuff, isn't it?
Yes. So, yeah. Um, yeah, and you do everything. You buy, expensive shoes and creams and you soak your feet and do this and that. And if you only knew that all you had to do was get rid of the inflammation in your feet and your feet would start feeling better. It's
Absolutely.
all about inflammation. Yeah, I didn't tell you my CPK, my inflammation marker was the range is up to 3.0 where the lab that I work for is 3.0. Mine was 11 and
Wow.
now yeah, mine was 11 and I had it checked again a couple of months ago and it was 3.
Hmm, that's awesome.
So, yeah.
Wow. Yeah,
Yeah.
I wish I had blood work done and stuff like that. I still haven't had that done. I probably will here
Yeah.
soon and use that
Mhm.
ownyourlabs.com and just have them come out to the house, draw blood, and do it that way. I have Dr. Barry's book that he wrote with Kim
You can
Howerton.
go through yeah, if you don't so I'm not really sure with own your own labs. I would assume because I looked at
Hmm.
the prices are really cheap,
Hmm.
which tells me that there has got to be an additional fee
Right.
by the lab. The lab's not gonna do it for free.
Right. Yeah, for
Um,
sure. Now I would get them probably the more expensive ones just because I've never had it done before. So I want to get, the $250 one or whatever it is in order to,
you could go through health labs, and you wouldn't have those additional fees.
okay.
You just pay what they ask you to pay.
Right.
And they can just drive over to LabCorp or Quest, whichever one was near you.
Hmm.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
just whatever they charge is what you're gonna pay, period.
Okay. I'll definitely
Yeah,
look into that for sure. I want to get as many tests done as I can to just, it's good
yeah,
information to have and provides for good video content
yeah, what
talking
do you
about it.
wanna know? What do
Uh,
what kind of labs do you want?
Mainly, the LDL, and I believe that there's some sort of a blood test that you can do to understand the particle size for your LDL as well.
Mhm. Yeah,
So I'm kind of interested in that. And then it's essentially just everything that Dr. Berry has in his book. I can't name off
yeah,
all the different
yeah.
tests, but
No, it's alright. Yeah, you want a complete lipid panel, things like, cholesterol panel.
okay,
Yeah, you can get individual ones, but you want a complete one. So yeah. You want you
that's
I'd get, a CBC, a CMP.
hmm
Those are definitely 2 that I would get. You might wanna have a where you had an autoimmune issue, you might wanna have an ANA done to,
okay.
see that that's negative now. It was probably not negative before. I don't know if you ever had one done,
No,
if you had an autoimmune going on. Um,
I avoid doctors like the plague.
yeah, I do too. I do
Yeah,
too. I can order a lot of this stuff myself, so I just stay away
right.
from them.
Yeah. Up until recently, I didn't even know that you could order your own lab work. So
Yeah.
definitely interested in
Yeah.
checking that out now.
Yeah. I'd probably and I know I mean, I realize that people are, you know was it Dave Feldman that put together Own Your Own Labs? Yeah,
Hmm.
and I mean, he's a great guy, but I think to save yourself some aggravation and having to pay those additional fees, you'd be better off going through health labs. And they're not overly expensive,
Hmm.
um, but it cuts out that other fee.
Right. Right.
So, um, and it's all done through email, and then you just print out the slip and take it to the lab and get it drawn. So, um, yeah, so you wanna get your cholesterol checked.
Mm,
Anything else? If you want an inflammation marker, you want what's called a CPK or CK.
CK.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah,
and you can get a
definitely.
SED rate done, yeah. Some of that might be in the CMP. CMP is a complete metabolic panel,
Okay.
and then the CBC, that's your complete blood count.
Okay.
Um,
Glad I'm writing this
anything that
down.
you're concerned about? Huh?
There's really nothing that I'm concerned about. I feel
Yeah,
great. I
okay.
mean, I feel like a superhero. Just basically just, take some tests to just kind of see where things are at and prove the naysayers wrong.
Yeah.
'Cause they're all
Well,
gonna
you get
they're
it
all
done, you
saying
can
I'm
send
gonna
it to
die of a
me.
heart attack.
Yeah, you if you get them done, you can send it to me because you gotta know how to read them too.
Mhm.
Because you can have something that was low or high and it means nothing. You have to
Right.
be able to cross-reference them with other things in order for it to mean something, which
Okay.
if you listen to Dr. Berry, he even talks about that. So, some
For
people
sure.
panic, and some things your biochemistry shifts when you
Mhm.
change your diet. So that's why it's not a good idea to have a blood test right away because
Mm.
then you'll see things that look like they're off, but it's only a temporary. It's
Mhm.
just temporarily off because your body's shifting now. So, like, calcium and magnesium play a role in your blood pressure, your acid alkaline base. I mean, so many things. So, as that's shifting, you could see things that look like they're off and be like, oh my God, and there's nothing wrong with you.
Right, that
So,
makes sense.
it, yeah. So, it is a good idea to wait several months before you go spending your money on a blood test.
For
Just
sure.
gauge it
Well,
by how you feel. If you feel good, don't worry about it.
yeah,
You don't
I'm
have to
going
do it
in and
right.
into I'm going into 10 months now, so,
Yeah,
maybe I'll wait till the year mark or something, I don't know. I'm
yeah.
really busy right now, so
That's what I did. I waited till the year mark. So,
okay.
yeah. Yeah, I waited a year actually from that May. I told you I had a physical in May and then I started carnivore and, started transitioning and then went into keep carnivore in July. So I waited till this past May
Mhm.
to have the blood work done again. So, yeah, I guess mine was about 10 months if you consider when I started carnivore.
Okay.
So, yeah. So,
Very
and I
cool.
lost 60 pounds.
Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. I have no clothes that fit me. So, 2 winter
Right?
coats that I'm lost in. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I have the same problem. It's like every season, it's like, "Oh my gosh, I don't have no clothes. I gotta go clothes shopping for jackets and all this other stuff now." Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
So, well, I bought some secondhand clothes while I was losing weight because I thought, oh, I got a ways to go, and I didn't want to have to keep spending money on clothes. So, yeah. And somebody
Yeah.
gave me some clothes, a friend of mine, she's like, I have all these clothes that don't fit me anymore. You want them? I said, yeah, I'll try them. I said, I'm not too proud to take used clothes. I
Right.
didn't care, you know?
Yeah, yep,
So,
I'm buying mine from the thrift store now too, so, I'm down
yeah,
to
I don't
where I
care.
need to be, but it's like, whatever, clothes are
Yeah.
clothes. I'm not in a fashion show, so
No, no. I hear, yeah. You don't care about that stuff as you start getting older.
no, exactly.
Especially girl, when you're a girl, you care about that stuff more, but I think anyway.
Yeah, I
Um, if you don't mind me asking, what state are you in?
Ohio.
Ohio. Oh, okay. I lived there. Yeah, my dad's from Ohio.
Okay,
Yeah, I lived in Logan County when I was a kid.
okay. Logan,
Bell
trying to think
Fountain.
of where that is. That's, okay, yeah, that's my son lives in Bell Fountain.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
where I lived when I was a little kid on Dayton Street.
That's funny because I live in Dayton, so
Oh, do you? Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I lived on Dayton Street. Tell your son, ask him, if I'm just curious, actually. It was a big greenhouse almost on the corner of Dayton Street. We had like a big yard in front of that house, I
Uh-huh.
remember. Yeah. So,
Nice.
yeah, I met somebody one time. I was on a cruise that was from Bell Fountain, and we were just like, who had ever even heard of Bell Fountain? Because it's not a very big place.
Right, for sure.
So. Yeah,
Yeah. And
surprise.
there's a road in our neighborhood called Bell Fountain also, which is strange.
Yeah, eh,
Yeah.
yeah, no. Have you met, what the heck is their names? Um, Ready Set Keto, James and Emily. Have you met them? Do you live near them?
I don't
Is
know
they
where they
have a
live.
meetup. They live in
Okay.
Ohio, and they have a
Interesting.
meetup, so I was just curious if you've ever met them in person.
I have not.
Yeah.
And I just recently found out that, Aaron Kilby and his wife, they both live in Dayton, and, I haven't met them either. From the
Who's
Kilby Life,
this?
the channel called the Kilby Life, they're carnivores,
I
and, yeah, him and
Yeah,
his
I
wife,
probably have watched it. I can't keep track of the names of everybody. There's so
right, yeah,
many now.
there's a lot of them now, yep, for sure.
Yeah.
So
I started following just because I wanted to support her, Carnivorous Me, Amanda.
yeah, uh-huh,
Yeah.
yep, I like
Um,
Amanda.
yeah, so and I found you. I don't remember how I found you. I think I found you because you were on, Intentional Carnivore. You know
Okay,
how you guys do
right.
the, is it Friday Night Lives?
They do, but Sean and I did a live, Q&A interview with him,
Oh,
so
okay. But I
that
think
may have been where it was.
you were on one of their Friday Night Lives, something. That's how I found you through one of them anyway,
Okay,
and I watched your so I knew about, a little bit that of what you told me, like, I knew you had plantar fasciitis. I watched the video that you talked about that.
mhm.
Yeah. Yeah,
So do you
it's crazy how much I shouldn't call him a kid. I'm old enough to be your mother, Sean. But it was crazy how much weight he lost in 1 year.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, that's unusual.
Mhm.
I mean, I realize men lose weight faster than women, but he lost a big person
Yes,
in a year.
yes,
So that was crazy.
or 2,
Yeah.
petite women.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Ah,
So,
incredible. Yep, for sure.
yeah.
So do you have
Yeah.
a social media channel that you wanna shout out or anything like that?
No, I don't do any of that.
Okay.
No. I can tell you I had for a long time, I had a radio show, I did social media, had a website. I mean, yeah, I lived in Austin, Texas, and, um, we had a radio show. We did all that, and, yeah, I don't wanna do it anymore. So, it's my turn to take care of me,
There you go.
you know?
Yep, yep.
So,
It's a
yeah,
lot of
I
work.
just want to kinda start enjoying, retirement now.
Mhm.
So, I take a few private clients, and that's about it.
Okay.
So, yeah,
Very
people
cool.
just will word of mouth will pass my name around. I had a few people that live in my area that reached out to me, um, through Doctor Ken Berry's website, not website, what's it called? Proper
Right,
Human Diet, The Mighty Tribe. I don't know,
right.
whatever
The
that they
private
pay,
community.
yeah, private
Yeah.
community.
Mhm,
I had a few people, befriend me just because I lived in the same town as them,
mhm.
and, then they found out what I did for a living, and so I did end up working with them a little bit to get their guts and stuff straightened out, but I only just take on a few people now,
There you go.
so,
You're the
yeah.
captain of your ship. I love that.
Yep, yeah. After taking care of my daughter and Tom, um, yeah, I just kinda said, "Okay, it's time for me to take care of myself." So,
That's awesome. I
yeah,
love that. Well,
yeah,
Gloria, it was definitely an honor to have you on and,
yeah,
chat with you about your carnivore experience. Hopefully, this isn't gonna be the last time that we chat, and, I wish you all
yeah,
the best in the future and, looking forward to connecting with you down
yeah.
the road.
Well, thank you for having me, and again, if you do have your lab, you can send them to me, and I'll go through them and tell you what they mean. No problem.
For sure.
And,
I definitely appreciate
and I still help people a lot too. I mean, just to help people, you know, um, because some people really do. Some people have labs and they don't know how to read them, and that was understandable. And then
it.
there are some people I meet that they just really do need some guidance, and it's understandable because there's just so much different information out there.
Right.
So I think people feel a little more secure if somebody can kind of help them through the beginning of it. But I try to teach people so they can do everything they need to do on their own.
I
So
appreciate that because I definitely
yeah.
wouldn't know what I was reading.
No, but I also think that I just think we should help our fellow man. I guess that's the only way I can say it. You don't always have to. I just don't know any other. You don't always have to be paid.
Hmm.
You should
For
just
sure.
help people because you want to help them because you're passionate about people being healthy and happy. Because
I
you
agree.
do feel happier when you're eating good and you're
Yep.
moving.
For
So,
sure. Yep.
well, thanks for having me, Adam.
Yep. Thanks, Gloria. I
All right.
appreciate you.
Bye.
Take
Take
care.
care.
Yep. A big thank you to Gloria for sharing those inspiring moments and insights from her life. Stories like hers will no doubt motivate many to seek out a new path to reclaim their health. Do you have any carnivore diet insights or stories? Drop them in the comments. I love hearing from each and every one of you. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share this video if you know someone who would find it helpful. Your support means everything to me. Until next time, take care. Bye for now.